My story is a place of hope and healing for all people, men, women, veterans, young adults, teenagers, and even children. Everyone, regardless of their social status or sexual orientation. It is a place of motivation and inspiration.
My story will talk about real life situations and real life stories because no one is immune to stress, depression, anxiety, and other mental health problems, and our stories resonate. My name is Grace Ngere, Suicide Awareness and Prevention Advocate. Hello, and welcome to My Story. My name is Grace Ngere, and I am welcoming you and telling you thank you so much for always tuning in and joining us for stories from people who are vulnerable enough to come and tell us more about their stories in the hopes of encouraging you and encouraging me, and more so knowing that we are not alone in this journey. You are not alone in this journey. All right. Today, we're very much privileged to have Stanley Kaguima. Hello, Stanley.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for agreeing to come to My Story. And actually, he was with us at the launch. We had a launch just the other day. And he was one of our panelists, one of our speakers. And before we go on, I'm going to read a bio for Stanley. Stanley is very much a young guy, as you can see, and with a lot of success, I would say, according to your bio here. So let me read your bio. Stanley Kaguima is a youth mentor who has worked with the youth in the US and in his country origin of Kenya. He is an advocate for young people, empowerment through education, leadership, entrepreneurship, and quality, fulfilling employment. Stanley has a passion to see that youth identify their talents and abilities, that they utilize them to realize their full potential. Wow. Stanley served as a peer counselor with Youth for Christ back in Kenya, a peer student advisor at Owens Community College, Ohio, and currently a youth mentor in Washington State. He also serves as a board member and board treasurer for African Young Dreamers Empowerment Program International, or IDP. Stanley is currently Assistant Safety Engineer at Boeing Company. Prior to that, he was a software test engineer with the US Navy, and before that, before that, he did serve in the US Army for 6 years. Oh wow. As a helicopter mechanic, we have a pilot here, and team leader. He holds a bachelor's in aerospace engineering and a certificate in computer science. Stanley is also a FAA, meaning Federal Aviation Administration, licensed airframe and power plant (ANP) mechanic, private pilot, and unmanned aircraft system UAS pilot. Okay. When Stanley is not working, what does he do? He says that he enjoys spending time with his family and friends, and he likes to work with the youth, fly, and learn about innovative technology and airplanes. He also relishes reading books, and mostly on audio, listening to uplifting music, and exchanging ideas with like-minded people. He considers himself a lifelong learner and a student of life who in turn shares his life lessons and experiences with others. Like he's doing today, he's sharing that with us. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that is really something, of black men in America, young, foreigner, and you have all this under your sleeve. I think that is commendable.
Well, it's taken quite a while, but I'm glad,
Yeah.
That, just trying one thing here and just having a passion, and just some things just come to happen if
Yeah.
you stay persistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Congratulations. I bet the youth who will be looking at you and listening to you and watching, they'll be inspired. They'll be inspired. And I will tell you that, yeah, please be inspired. I am inspired by him. I want to be you. I really do. Get inspired. That is all what my story is all about. We get inspired. You can do it. You can do it. He did it. You can do it. So we will come back in a little bit. And so we will put a stop and stay right there. Okay, welcome back to my story. My name is Grace again, and today we have Stanley. Stanley, what is your story?
So my story, and I would say the core of my story begins with my transition to the United States. Although there could be some traits and of course our background, I believe that gives us contributes to our story. So I might reference some things, back home and whatnot. But so for me, I came to the States when I was 20, so barely an adult, with big dreams to be an aerospace engineer. So I came here as a student with the promise for a scholarship, a full scholarship, but I got to the States and that school stopped giving scholarships because they said they were running out of money that they were giving international students. So from there, now I had to figure out, okay, now what do I do? And mind you, I was a very driven person. I wanted to accomplish this goal so bad. So, just I talked to friends, and we had a lot of international students in that city. That's Bowling Green, Ohio. And so I had some friends, especially this one friend of mine. His name is Alex. Hopefully he'll watch the video, and I'm so grateful for Alex. So he showed me a way to navigate, go to a community college because it was really expensive, and my parents could not afford the high tuition for that school.
And that time your parents are back home?
My parents were back home. I was the only one here from my family, but I had one aunt living about 25 minutes away. But of course, I would not put my burden on her to help me with my tuition. So I moved to a community college, and that was challenging to get tuition because it's Ohio, and as an international student, you have limitations as to what you can do. But just got some ways to maneuver, and I had to shift from one school to another before I could get even through my associates, because I was getting behind on tuition fees from one school, and then I would negotiate with another school, and they would let me in for quite a while, and then I would catch up with the tuition. So I never really fell out of status. I was very careful about that. So fast forward, I graduated with an associate's in engineering concentration, and it came time for me now to progress, because I'm an international student, so at some point, I gotta keep going.
Right.
So
if you don't, you fall out of status. Maybe someone wants to know what that means.
Yes. So falling out of status is where, because, as an international student, you have to be enrolled in school at all times, and you have to have your I-20. That's the documentation that shows that you are actively in school. So you have to be enrolled in school at any one time, and if you're not, then your school has to has to know about it. Sometimes they might give you maybe a semester if you have extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
So so that's how the whole I-20 works. I'm not very up to date with the rules and the regulations to date, but that's how it was back then.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started trying to get into a 4-year college, and I got this school, the University of Akron, in Ohio. And then, I mean, that was also a 4-year college, so tuition is really high. And then I joined that school a semester off. So instead of joining in the fall, I joined in the spring.
Okay.
So that was going to be challenging to get scholarships too.
Okay.
So it got to a point where, it was really my chances of actually going through school, they were getting, slimmer and slimmer. And then I just decided, okay. At one time, we had some recruiters from the Army come to our school, and they had talked to me, and I went to their station. And that was in, I believe, 2009, 2010. But I never really went through with that application because I talked to my parents, and my mom said, "No, you're not gonna join the Army."
Oh. Mothers.
And
mothers love.
And then the other reason on top of that was that they had this program called MAVNI, where if you have a current visa, you can join the Army, and then you get your citizenship through that program. But you had to be in the States for at least 2 years. With that, your visa had
for
to
you
be current.
to be able to enroll.
Yes, for you to be eligible. So at that time, I was not eligible. So fast forward 2013, I decided, okay, let me go and check out, this Army thing. Let me go back to it and see if they can help me, because one of my biggest challenges was tuition. I can't get my school paid for, and I had to get my school done. So I went, talked to them, and we started the process. And at that time, I did not talk to my parents about it at all. I just kept it because I knew they were going to discourage me from that. So I just kept it going, and I signed the papers. I enlisted, and afterwards, that's when I talked to them. I told them, hey, December, I'll be joining the Army. They were shocked for a minute, but I think they realized that it's not something that I was gonna back out of. So they said, oh, well, okay, if that's what you want, then and then I gave them all my reasons. The other very big reason was at that time, myself and my wife, we were not married at that time. We were expecting a child that December. So that was another big push to, okay, I have this situation going on. She was also a student. She was doing her master's at that time. So we have this challenge. It's now a complex situation. So I had more than one reasons to get into the Army. So finally I did. I went to boot camp, and I left my daughter when she was 6 days old. Yep, it was at the beginning of the year. I actually, New Year's Eve, I was sleeping on a bunk bed in South Carolina, Fort Jackson. Very cold actually, because before they give you the blankets and all that, it kind of takes a while. It takes a few days before they process you and all that. So it was a rough moment. I had not slept. It was just
part of the boot camp? Here it's very tough.
So it's part of, in processing it's a little bit different. Because it takes a while. It's hundreds of new trainees coming in. So it takes a while to enroll everyone, get them all the equipment they need. So it kind of takes a while. So that was the experience that I was having for New Year's, going into 2014. So that's how my 2014 started on a bunk bed, very cold, having not slept for almost 2 days, and you get into a hall, you just sit down. You're not supposed to doze off.
What?
Yeah, you came in a flight and you're not supposed to doze off at all.
They will make you not to?
They will ask you to stand if you start dozing off. Yes.
Okay.
So that's part of the training, and you know, it went on and on. But fast forward, I was done with basic training, and I joined. Joined the unit. I was posted at Washington at JBLN.
Okay.
So looking back at my education journey, maybe I can talk more about that and how that transition kind of affects.
Yeah, sure. We can come back and talk about that. And I've heard about boot camp, and I have heard it's tough.
It is.
So I can't imagine not being able to sleep, and because you are being told not to.
Absolutely.
Wow. So when we come back, you're gonna tell us more.
Okay.
And so let's take a break, and you stay right there. Do not touch that dial. All right. Welcome back, and with us again, we are continuing to listen to Stanley give us his transition from Kenya to America, and how he went through study and military and so much more. So continue the story, Stanley.
Well, so I came to Washington State. I was stationed at JBLN, Joint Base Louis McCord. And for me, I actually chose to come here because I wanted to go to UW, the University of Washington, to continue with my aerospace engineering degree from there. And something that I forgot to mention is the school that I went to, my I-20 said that I was coming to do aerospace engineering. But turns out they didn't even have aerospace engineering.
Oh, that university.
Yes,
Wow.
they did not have that program. They had something called aerospace studies, which was a class that the Air Force ROTC used to take.
Oh.
So actually for my first semester, that semester that I went to that school, I attended that class, but I had to talk to them because I could not have been in the ROTC without being a citizen.
Oh, okay, I see.
But they let me sit in some of their classes and just listen. They invited me to be doing, physical exercises with them. But it was optional.
Yeah, okay.
So, I just thought I should mention that because looking back, I think most of these things kind of connected.
Right.
So,
and also took maybe more time, like you would have already gotten into your career, what you wanted to study for.
Sure.
So some time was lost there. Right?
Yes. But although not exactly, because what I did is I talked to my advisor and I told them what my goal was. And because I can take a lot of general education classes, that add up towards engineering. So I did a lot of calculus, sciences, and all that. So not all the time was lost.
Okay. So kind of prerequisites, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. Let's So 5 months are gone. Now you go back to school. Or what happened? Or is that what happened?
No.
Okay.
Because so I had to get into. Try to get admitted again in the fall.
Okay. You had to apply again?
I had to apply again, or actually defer my admission.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I was still taking some online classes with with the same school. But they're pretty much two different campuses. They have the online, which is called Worldwide. That's in Embry-Riddle. I went to the one in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay.
So I was still taking some courses online, but I had to transition now to in class because these are engineering classes that need me to go to labs and all that. So I decided, okay, maybe I'm gonna try next year, or maybe I'm just gonna wait for my contract with the Army to end and I can go back to school. Because with going with doing the ROTC program, you actually have to sign a new commitment with the Army. So I was considering, do I want to do more time with the Army or just finish the rest of my contract, which was at that time I was getting close to my 3-year mark. So do I do 3 more years and get done, or do I go to school, graduate in about 2 years, and then have another 8-year commitment, which I can decide, okay, do 3 active, 5 inactive. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna try it. So I tried it again, and this time everything was good to go. But then they had a lot of issues with this program, the MAVNI program, and they decided that for those who came in as MAVNIs, as much as you are a citizen now, you have to finish your contract, and then after that you can change to any other program you want. You can go to any other school. And for me, I just thought, now this is the same thing again I've been talking about. Every time I get close, it gets taken away. So at that point, I just decided that I was not gonna apply to go to ROTC again. And myself and my wife back then, we were in agreement about that. And that's the same year that actually I got deployed to Afghanistan. And now going to Afghanistan, it's adding on to this thing again. That now, okay, what's gonna happen when I go there? So it was building up in me. And it's funny because I actually, as much as I talked to mostly my close family about just my feeling of, okay, I really want to go back to school, I really want to get this done, but I can't. But the whole feeling of I feel like this thing will never happen, I'll never achieve this dream, especially when a setback like that happened. I never really explicitly talked about that because it felt so vulnerable, and it was something very personal to me that I never really wanted to talk about. So I just went with it, went to Afghanistan, and then they actually returned that program. They said, okay, now you MAVNI MAVNI people, you can now apply, you can do whatever you want. But that was just maybe 2 months before my return from Afghanistan. But I never really at that time I had decided that I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to finish my contract. I'm very close to being done. I'm less than 2 years before the end. I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna write it out and give the Army the best that I still have, and then and then finish.
So you did you at that particular moment do you decided I don't want to do this engineering anymore, or you just decided let me focus on this first and then maybe later?
So I was still very persistent about I'm still going to be an aerospace engineer, but at that time I could not take any more classes. But I decided, okay, I'm just gonna finish up with the Army, and then after that, then I'm gonna go back to school because there'll be no restrictions as far as what time I can go to school. In fact, they will pay for it. So I just waited for to finish my 6 years. Just got out, and immediately after that, even though I started working another job, I say this and I say it with a lot of grace, but I feel like COVID was a blessing in disguise to me from the perspective of being able to work from home and being able to go to school and do some classes that I wouldn't have been able to do online were it not for the whole change, all the changes that they brought about after COVID.
Okay, I wanted to I wrote something because I didn't want to forget. you had talked about not wanting to say anything to anyone,
Uh-huh.
even though it was disturbing you. And I'm thinking about the vulnerability of men. And how, yes, outside you looked okay, you look like you're successful, but there's this thing nagging you and disturbing you to a point you feel you didn't even talk to anybody because it was that big for you, right?
Sure.
So I know after your story we'll come back and talk about how men can benefit maybe from therapy and stuff like that. So that's just something I wanted to tell you in case I forget. Talk about men and men talking, and even if they cannot just talk with somebody ordinary, maybe therapy,
Sure.
down our conversation. So how is the conversation going for you? How is the Stanley story? Feel free to write something on the comment, write something on the comment, because I think he's a very resilient man. And also, if you have not liked this video, subscribe if you have not. And most importantly, this is my gospel: share. Sharing is the best thing, and is the best way to reach out to one person who might be going through something and they think they're alone. Maybe they're in school, maybe they're trying to get to their career, to their goal, to them being an engineer, a doctor, and they feel they have not gotten there yet. They still see setbacks now and then, like you're talking about. You are not alone. Stanley went through it, and now he's a pilot, he's an engineer. So stay right there and we'll come back.